Welcome to Horseplay year 2016. How you doing? Good evening. I'm Dave Furst. Michael Grady will be here in a second. He's putting on the right mic. So just stand by. Michael Grady will be joining us. Anyway, welcome to Horseplay, year 3 of this Emmy Award-winning segment. But a new place and a new way to view it. We are Facebook Living this year. Is that even is that a term? Facebook Live? We're on Facebook Live on the RTV6 Facebook page. So you can chime in, get a little more interactive than we've been the last couple of years with this segment that looks back at the Colts game. In this case, it was a 39-35 loss to the Detroit Lions yesterday. A little bit of a look ahead to week 2 and the Denver Broncos, which of course comes up this coming Sunday. Yet another 4:30 kick. What's the deal with that? And then we got the Chargers after that in week 3, and that's a 4:30 kick. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, from parts unknown.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Michael Grady joins. Got the right mic on?
I think so. Everybody hear me okay?
We're good. We put the mic into Michael Grady. Anyway, I've got my glasses on. I can actually see now. We're hoping to have a tablet or something so that folks can chime in and give us their thoughts on the Colts opener yesterday. Although you've been on the radio all day.
Yeah.
And I've been following social media and also talking to other folks. I think you and I kind of have a good idea of what really bugs people.
Yeah, no question.
all this
no
today.
question. Yeah, absolutely. 3 things for sure. 1, the slow starts.
Yep.
Number 2, the defense.
Yep.
And number 3, clock management or just game management in the closing minutes of that football game. So those are the 3 most talked about topics after game 1.
The timeout is one thing. We're going to get into all this, but the timeout I think is one thing, and I honestly didn't have an issue with it because if things are scattered, you've got to call timeout, settle things down a little bit. But it's the clock management in and around that I had an issue with, namely the kickoff. That probably could have burned another 6 or 7 seconds if they would have pooch kicked it, get it within the 5. And, oh, by the way, you've got probably the NFL's best kicker in Pat McAfee to do something like that.
Right. He can do directional kicks. Obviously, I think they're operating with extreme caution. Yes, it would seem smart to squib kick, but if it goes off the side of Pat's foot and goes out of bounds, well, then boom, Detroit's at the 40-yard line. We'll play the clip a little bit later, but Pagano was obviously nervous about the opportunity that a guy could bring it and return it all the way for a touchdown. So there's some concern there, too. You can see both sides of it. The timeout, look, the Colts in the first half with about 4 minutes to go, they got the football. They marched down the field without a timeout, methodical. Andrew Luck found his rhythm finally. They scored a touchdown with 5 seconds remaining in that first half, and they were fine. Look, Andrew's okay. We don't have to handle him with kid gloves. I'm sure he can get the guys organized. You have 40 seconds on the play clock to get the play in, make sure you get the right personnel on the field, and let Andrew go. I think that's the bottom line. Just let Andrew go.
Let Andrew be Andrew.
Yes.
Because listen, we have it. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Brady Gibson, by the way. He is on the scene. Look at this. We've got questions. We've got hearts. We've got thumbs up. We thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to get to all these questions and comments here in a little bit. Tony, is it Blinson says boycott the NFL. Well, no, that's the whole point of the show. We got to talk about the Colts and NFL. What are you talking about here? So we're going to get to the. In fact, can we just throw up the final score in case you missed it and been living under a rock? Here it is, 39-35 was the final yesterday at beautiful Lucas Oil Stadium. The roof was open, the window was open. We didn't have any of those crazy shadows at these 1 o'clock games. I mean, it was a gorgeous afternoon for a game, and then things got kind of crazy right out of the get-go. And Andrew Luck, you were talking about Andrew Luck, his numbers right there, 31 of 47, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns. Here's the thing, though, and this is kind of remarkable now. This is the 5th season for Luck and Chuck. They've lost 4 of 5 season openers. That's crazy.
Yep, absolutely is. And really these last 2 years were the 2 real concerning ones.
The Buffalo game last year was just outright an anomaly.
Yeah, they were.
What the hell are we watching here?
Absolutely beaten up from the start of that game, and really really couldn't get their act together. And you felt like a year later, all right, you want to get started off on the right foot. There's been so much talk about these slow starts that these guys are going to come out like gangbusters.
Right.
No, it didn't happen. They dropped down 21-3.
Let's face it. You go back to January when you and I are standing outside the Colts complex thinking that it's going to be a funeral dirge for Chuck Pagano and Ryan Grigson. And then the heavens opened up, and all of a sudden a new deal's done. We're all looking at each other. And there was a love fest there for months. Yeah. And there was a lot of momentum going into this thing. And the preseason wasn't exactly all that stellar. You're thinking, okay, everything's going to come together in the regular season, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
right? Right?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know that there was a whole lot of optimism with most Colts fans with these two being brought back. I think a lot of it was, okay, let's see. Let's see if they can turn this around. Okay, you made wholesale changes at the assistant coaches. Maybe they can turn this whole thing around and maybe figure things out. And okay, if they're patient, maybe this whole thing works out in the long run. But we only have one game, one sample size, but it looks like the same thing that we've seen these past handful of years. And so yeah, this is where we are right now.
That's the crazy thing. This is one game.
It is one game, but
But we've seen this before.
If it was a new issue, that's different.
Right. We would all be saying different. One game, give it a couple of games and see what happens. But we've seen this so often with this particular group.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's going to – they're searching for answers. They really don't know what it's going to take to get off to a faster start.
I hope they know.
I think
they're paid to know.
Speaking of maybe we can get Goodell on the phone and see if they could spot the opponent 14, 20 points to start the game. And then,
there's 15 minutes to catch up. Is what you're saying.
And then there's a sense of urgency right from the opening kickoff to go out there and play. So this, Andrew, we were kind of asking this to the players today, and also asking Chuck Pagano about, look, when this team goes up tempo, when you say, Andrew, go get them, like they did at the end of the first half, like they did for most of that second half.
Shotgun.
Yep.
It's perfect.
Yes. He finds his rhythm.
Thing. The receivers do their thing. Let's face it, these got some really good weapons out there.
Sure. Andrew could have drawn something up on his hand with 1:15 to go, and I'm pretty sure they would have found a way to execute and get into the end zone.
Let's hear from, and the great thing about this 8 o'clock show is now, because we can play you some of the interviews from the complex, and that kind of gives us a better idea what they're thinking, perhaps what you guys are thinking as well. So this first set of interviews with the defense?
Yeah, with the defense, and for anybody who watched Sports Extra last night, you heard Quell Jackson's comments and how he felt the defense played.
You had to get the bleep machine.
Had to get the bleep machine out for that. He was upset.
That's good. I like that. Though. I want guys pissed off.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he pointed the finger at himself. Quell had 2 tackles in the game.
Thank you.
2 tackles in the game, and so this is a question that you actually asked Mike Adams. We'll start with Mike Adams, and look, they're pulling guys off the street in the defensive backfield. They were doing that before Sunday's game, and then in the game they lose T.J. Green and Patrick Robinson, and so you asked Mike Adams whether or not that could be used, I don't know, as an excuse.
Yeah.
Doing that. Nah, for what? You're wasting time making excuses because it's the NFL. The guys that came in, they're getting paid. They're getting paid to do a job, and obviously they're capable, and they're here because they're capable. So we expect them to step up when it's time. That's how I got my shot. When I was a young pup, someone got hurt, I stepped in. And no one made excuses for me saying, "Oh, it's okay, he's a rookie," or "He didn't know, that's why he didn't make that tackle," or "He didn't know." Nah, we're not going to do that. We ain't going to play that game.
That's the National Football League. That's what you sign up for. I'm sure every guy in this building is taking extra care of their body this week because, at one point throughout the game, you just kept seeing bodies on the ground, and you just hoped and prayed it wasn't you were going to be next. So it's something that we're dealing with. We'll get through it. It's early in the season. Nothing is. We'll get some guys back here soon, and but in the meantime, we got to go with the guys that we have.
Did you see Stephen Holder in the background shaking his head at DeQuell's answers like, "No, that's not right. What are you talking about? No. Do we have to pay Stephen Holder now for the Indianapolis Star, by the way? Does a great job, beat writer for the. Do we have to pay him now for his appearance in that? and the comic relief.
Absolutely.
He's shaking his head. No.
Well, it wasn't all that bad. Well, I don't. Yeah, yes, it was. I agree with Mike Adams. Mike was very upset.
I love Mike Adams, man. I could hear him read a menu.
He would do it passionately.
He talks with such passion.
Yeah, he'll do it passionately, absolutely. And they're just they're in a tough spot. I mean, that's one area where you can understand that they would be struggling as far as the defensive backfield with all of those injuries that they have going on right now. Yeah. They did get some good news. Darius Butler looks like he'll be back on the practice field on Wednesday. Clayton Gathers, second-year player, had T.J. Green starting in his spot, and obviously T.J. was hurt yesterday. Looks like Clayton may be able to get some limited reps this week as well.
I mentioned this last night on Sports Extra. I use this as a roster. It's called a flip card. They give it to us up at the press box. I spent a lot of time looking at the Colts DBs going, all right, yeah. That's Winston Guy. He's been around here for a while.
Yeah.
He's, and then Rashawn Melvin. No, couldn't. If he sat down right here, we couldn't tell you who it was.
Nope.
So a lot of guys, and they were just completely gassed by the fourth quarter.
Which is unfortunate.
Up and down the
Colts,
defense.
Yeah, because the Colts, the offense finally found a rhythm, and they were able to sustain some drives to get back in the football game. And you would think that maybe based off of adrenaline and then these long drives that the Colts offense that they were able to put together, and the defense may be able to be rejuvenated by that, find some extra juice, especially with the crowd back in it. So the Colts scored a touchdown, add a 2-point conversion to tie it at 28, and you're thinking, okay, defense,
let's go.
Get a stop. Get a stop, and we can wrap this bad boy up. And they allow us 75 plays, about 8 or 9 plays, 75-yard drive to score the go-ahead touchdown up 34-28. And then we know what happened after that. But they had opportunities. They just didn't get stops, and they couldn't tackle anybody.
They had opportunities, but you got to take advantage of those opportunities.
You have to take advantage of them.
Inside the numbers, once again, welcome to Horseplay. New time, new place. In addition to RTV6 app, in addition to the IndyChannel.com, it's great to be on Facebook Live as you look at inside the numbers. I mean, honestly, the numbers are pretty even, but these stood out. How about Frank Gore? Slow start, just 17 yards in the first half. Heck, he only had 2 rushing yards in the second quarter yesterday. He also had a dropped ball, finished for 59 yards for the game. If and when they ever get a running game going, that's going to help out Andrew.
Well, again, they're putting a filibuster on the running game by getting down in these big holes. I mean, the fact that they can't give the ball, they can't find an opportunity to give Frank Gore the ball consistently because now you have to rely on Andrew to get you back in the game. So if you get off to a faster start, then you can utilize Frank Gore more. This, for Colts fans who've been around a while, I mean, it's not that long ago, but Edgerrin James, the Colts would get off to a decent start, and in the second half and headed into the fourth quarter, just feeding the beast. Just feed EJ over and over again, and he finished with 35 carries, with the majority of those coming in the second half.
Yeah. There was this, though. How about the reemergence of the tight ends, ladies and gentlemen? Tight ends, Wade Allen, 53 yards and a touchdown, which is basically his stat line for the entire year last year. Right there. But DA did a nice job on that touchdown. He ran a great route. Luck looked away, bit the defense, and it was really well done, well-conceived play by Chud. I just like saying Chud whenever I can.
Good execution there. Jack Doyle, a couple of touchdowns. This is funny. I was having some fun with this on Twitter yesterday, but it actually came from a very sore spot. I kept asking people, how many catches Coby Fleener had today? So I'm playing fantasy football, and I'm thinking, okay, Kobe's in a high-scoring offense. They're going to throw it around a lot.
Drew Brees,
only quarterback to throw for over 400 yards on Sunday. Right. Coby Fleener, 1 catch for 6 yards. 1 catch for 6 yards.
Sorry. I made the mistake of playing Coby Fleener. I didn't because our league hasn't started yet. I'm just saying, how about that guy? You're thinking, this is like Jeremy Shockey type stuff here with the Saints. You get a tight end now. Guy's got good hands. One catch.
Nope, one catch. And Jack Doyle had 2 touchdowns.
Jack Doyle. Why didn't I play Jack Doyle, for crying out loud? C.O. Moore, the linebacker, by the way, 13 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. I mean, he was all over the place. He could have made a lot more tackles, let's face it. How about, speaking of linebackers, Jarrell Freeman for the Bears, the former Colt. Did you see his line?
17
tackles
17
for
tackles.
The Monsters of the Midway and a loss in Houston. What was that? Brady Gibson, our producers, in my ear. What was that, Brady? James Hinchcliffe is about to dance on Dancing with the Stars. What the hell are we doing to this show? Sorry.
I could just.
Oh, wait, no, we still got to do the show.
Okay.
Wait, seriously? James Hinchcliffe is about to dance in Dancing with the Stars. This whole thing, by the way, brings back memories of when Elio was on Dancing with the Stars. We went out there a couple times, and I'm anticipating that we go out there again a couple times.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing because it's L.A. and you get to hang out and you like L.A.
I like
What's
that.
not to like about L.A.?
Yes.
Except for the prices
And the
and
traffic.
the traffic.
And the traffic, yes.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We can't do it live. I see him. Is that a rehearsal he's in, or is that the actual dance? He's dancing right now? Oh, should we do play-by-play of James Hinchcliffe dancing?
Actually looking pretty good.
Wow, he is looking pretty good, actually. Sharna Burgess is his co-star. And look at this. He looks pretty good.
Yeah. Many of our viewers are multitasking anyway. You have Facebook up while your TV's on, so you.
Yeah, this is what this is all about. So if you're at home watching Facebook and watching RTV6, you're multitasking.
That's right. That's what we do nowadays.
By the way, I just saw a shot of me looking up, and it's just horrible. Make sure I don't do that again. Let's get into some of the big topics now with Chuck Pagano, beginning with the timeout at 1:15 to play in the game. We talked about it a little bit off the top.
Yep.
If the offense is in that much disarray and you don't have the right personnel out there, or at least the guys you feel should be out there, then I get calling the timeout. Do you agree with that or no?
Well, I feel like you have to be ready for all. As a head coach, you have to be ready for all situations. And so it's on you as the coach to make sure that your team is organized. And when you're in a situation like that where you want to milk as much clock as possible,
right.
Your defense just gave up a 75-yard drive for a touchdown. Even if you get in the end zone, which the Colts did, you're only up by a point, just a point, and so all Detroit has to do is get in field goal range.
Given the fact if you score.
Right, if you
At
score.
that point, you haven't scored yet.
True, this is true, but you should be organized as the head coach to make sure that the right plays are being called and the right personnel is on the field. You have a 40-second play clock in order to make sure that you get the right guys on. You're on the 12-yard line. A minute 15 to go.
Yep.
You have plenty of time at that time. If a play goes bad, you still get back to the line of scrimmage. Each incomplete pass, you stop the clock anyway.
Right.
So I felt like with
it was
better
second down at that point in the game.
Yep.
So
second down, you're around the 10-yard line. You have I just feel like you should be organized in that situation.
Well,
you should be organized in that situation, and you shouldn't need to call a timeout. Jim Caldwell was going to call a timeout. At least force them to burn one of theirs.
That's the thing.
You didn't have to do that on your end.
That's the thing. Even Jim Caldwell, who we know likes to burn timeouts whenever he can anyway.
Yeah, we remember those days.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, let's hear from Chuck Pagano earlier today as he once again tried to explain the timeout situation, and he flat out said, guess what, Chuck?
No regrets. I wouldn't do anything different. We weren't guaranteed a touchdown. We were not in the end zone. So the first and foremost, to even give ourselves a chance, we have to score a touchdown. We're down 6 points. And in order to give ourselves an opportunity to send, the PAT unit out there and send Adam out there to kick the winning PAT, we've got to score a touchdown. We weren't guaranteed that. And so the most important thing at that time was to make sure that, we had the right personnel on the field and we had the best play available for that situation. More important than anything else. And so the whole time when we took over on that drive with 4:04 and we had 2 timeouts left, and as we crossed the 50 and we started getting closer, we were slowing things down. There was talk on the headset about taking time off. okay, and we snapped that last ball, I think, with a minute 40 on the clock, and then we took a timeout with, like you said, 75 seconds left in the game, a minute 15. And so, again, the most important thing to me and our football team and our offense was to have the very best play available. And you're not always guaranteed that, in a no-huddle, hurry-up type situation. We also had an opportunity still to get a first down.
Right.
And I'd hate to milk all the time off the clock, and we don't hit Jack. Maybe Jack's covered in the back of the end zone on 3rd and 4, and we got to dump it off to Dorsett, and he maybe catch it on the 1 yard line,
Right.
Or Andrew has to scramble around and doesn't get in, or we have first down. I'd like to have plenty enough time with 1st and goal from the 2 to run 4 plays if we needed 4 plays.
Right.
He's still talking, isn't he?
When he was asked about
how long was that
was a
explanation?
minute 47.
Yeah.
That was a minute 47. So he did his best. He did his best to explain the situation. But again, as a coach, you want to be organized in that situation. Unless there was complete chaos going on out there, and none of the players seemed to think that was the case when they were interviewed in the locker room yesterday. It's okay to be patient. Use that play clock. Make sure the right play is in. Make sure you're grabbing the right guy to get him on the field.
Be methodical
and go.
about everything.
Really
Really
absolutely.
think through what they're doing.
You got to be, you be in the moment.
How spoiled is this area, though? Because for better part of 14 seasons, we saw Peyton Manning run this sort of thing.
Yeah.
To precision.
Yes.
And Tom Moore, they're doing their thing. Peyton's doing his thing. And
that's what
you wouldn't have worried in that situation.
No, and that's what you work for. That's what you strive for.
Right.
And Peyton, to his credit, he just thought about every single scenario in those type of situations.
We said it last night. He's so cerebral when
Yeah.
you get out there, and I feel like what that offense was doing 10 years ago was all doctorate level stuff. This, I feel like, is maybe entry-level college stuff.
And that's unfortunate because Andrew's a pretty smart guy.
Absolutely.
Andrew has a good feel for the game. And when Andrew gets in the rhythm, he knows what's necessary. He knows what his team needs to do.
Right.
And so,
and at that point, he was definitely in rhythm.
right. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, he had found it.
Right.
And guys were stepping up. I really liked what I saw. Dante Moncrief is turning into, most Colts fans' favorite wide receiver. Like, he's delivering on a consistent basis.
Right.
You know what T.Y. is going to give you. Philip Dorsett contributing with 2 big deep balls, making big grabs, and led the team in receiving yards yesterday. And Jack Doyle's in the offense. So there are all these weapons out there that Andrew has at his disposal. Even if Doyle didn't get his hand on the touchdown grab, Moncrief might have had it behind him.
Right.
Look,
his arm is going back as if to get it, too.
Exactly. So trust those guys. It's the defense you have to be cautious about.
Was Dwayne? I didn't see Dwayne out there on that drive. Did you? We saw, obviously, Doyle was out there. And I'm curious
to my
as to why
recollection, I can't
Dwayne
remember.
wasn't out there. Anyway. So that takes us to... They score the touchdown.
Yep.
Then they've got, 37 seconds left on the clock. How do you burn a little bit more time? Well, the obvious answer is to maybe pooch kick it, try to get down at the 5, at least allow Detroit to maybe try to run the ball back a little bit, which is going to kill, 6-7 seconds off the clock.
Right. And those seconds matter. Again, they kicked the field goal with 4 seconds remaining. So if you take 6-7 seconds off with them bringing it at,
Plus the 3 timeouts.
No question.
They were so efficient they had to burn a play just to run down the clock at the end, right?
And McAfee, throughout the entire preseason, was consistent about kicking the ball toward the goal line and forcing them to bring it out. If it's a touchback, teams would take it at the 25. It's a new rule this season. And so I think the sentiment a lot of folks were thinking was, look, you don't want the team to take it at the 25.
Right.
Kick it toward the goal line. They've got to bring it.
Force them to bring it out.
And then maybe you tackle them at the 15 and the 20, and that's advantage to your defense. But that's a risk that Chuck didn't want to take, not only at that point in the game, but he didn't do that at all in the game.
All right, last set of sounds. Let's hear from Chuck about the kick.
Yeah, not much thought there. I've had an opportunity in the past, and I've been burned in the past, with end of half, end of game things where you kick a ball and you're supposed to kick it out of bounds, and you kick it to a guy you're not supposed to kick it to, and he runs it back, for a touchdown. All that sounds good until you do that, and then something happens, and they run it back for a touchdown. I'm counting on our defense in that situation to go out there and play good football in 37 seconds on the clock and get us off the field and somebody make a play. We had opportunities and we didn't execute well enough, and they did.
You could tell just in the couple snippets there with Chuck talking about the game yesterday, you could tell this one really got him a little bit. The body language there, you could tell this was, I don't know if it's based on what happened in January, the fact that he almost lost his job, that he fought to keep it. They tied, he and Ryan Grigson to the hip now. It just seemed like a different guy up there talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's tired of answering the same questions. He's tired of being asked about the defense. He's tired of being asked about the slow start.
Right.
And then when he got to the podium and was asked about the timeout that he burned with a minute 15 to go, I didn't think based on his response, I think he was surprised that was actually being called into question. And then he all of a sudden got in defensive mode at the podium and gave a very lengthy answer. So he really didn't anticipate any of this, and so he was kind of hot seat questions he was being asked.
Well, and what these guys are getting paid, they deserve tough questions.
Absolutely.
Even in a soft market like Indianapolis. Could you imagine if something like this happened in New York?
Oh, pitchforks. Pitchforks.
No, but I mean, honestly, your radio show, you guys do a great job talking about it too. But it's just, it would be
brutal.
Brutal. All right, once again, you're watching Horseplay. New time, 8 o'clock each Monday night as we recap the Colts game from the day before and look ahead to the next game, which is, of course, the Denver Broncos. We're going to wrap things up. Usually we're going to have some guys from the other markets Skype in some thoughts. So next week we'll try to get the Denver guys in and so on and so forth. But anyway, let's go through some of the comments here. Ryan Robert Denton says defense has to play better. Can we like that? Like that. There we go. I just gave it a thumbs up. Let's see here. What else we got here? In a nutshell, thanks for all the responses, by the way. There are a ton of them here tonight. Josh Plogue says, "Go Patriots." What?
Yeah.
What, you watching the wrong show?
Block. Can you block on Facebook?
Can you block on Facebook? Dave, have you lost weight? Baggy clothes. Now we're getting to the important stuff here. I have lost a little weight, but thank you for asking. Spokane days high. I bet that was Dave. It's only week one, Dennis Foley writes. I agree with that. This is cool. You're watching Facebook at home. You're reading some of these comments. Mm-hmm. You're not that impressed.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I appreciate folks chiming in.
There we go. Brad Brown's on Skype? Okay, hang on a second. We got a couple more to get to. We need Vontae back. Ryan Robert Denton says we need Vontae back. That would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got guys out there.
What are we hearing on Vontae? Still a couple weeks, right?
Still week to week. So we're looking at a couple more weeks, maybe by week 4.
Juan Espinoza III writes, "Go Lions." How about all the Lions fans in the house?
That actually was really surprising.
Who knew there were that many Lions
really
fans?
Surprised. Yeah, exactly.
I say that tongue-in-cheek, but you know what I mean, though, right? Ryan Robert Denton he chimes in, Jack Doyle. Jack. You can't go wrong with Jack Doyle.
No.
If he's catching 2 touchdowns a game.
And looked good. I mean, he looks good out there. He's already a solid blocker. He's a much better blocker than what you had with Kobe Fleener when he was out there. And Mr. Reliable, I mean, he had some tough grabs in there. That touchdown grab, he had to get up to go after it. So I like to see the local guys succeed.
Chuck Taylor finally chimes in. He's got an Alabama picture, and he writes in, "Happy birthday, Andrew." That's right. It's Andrew Luck's birthday. I forgot all about that.
Takes a sting. I mean,
let me tell you here. Here's a sign of how Indianapolis media has changed in the last 10 years. 10 years ago, somebody in the media today, when we were talking to Andrew Luck, would have said, "Hey, happy birthday." Now we're getting hard.
Yes, that's right.
We're getting hard. We don't even care it's your birthday. Real quickly, let's bring in Brad Brown, who is Skyping in from parts unknown. Good evening, Brad. Did you happen to see James Hinchcliffe on Dancing with the Stars, and how did he do?
I did. Hinch, I just watched him do the foxtrot with Sharna. They were fantastic.
Wow. Okay.
Scored of 31 out of a possible 40 tonight.
Wow. That's a good score.
Yeah.
Right out the gate.
31 out of 40. They have nowhere else to go but down. That's good.
High compliments from all the judges. Julianne said it reminded her of Elio when she danced with him in their championship season.
Yeah.
And Bruno got all sorts of weirdly excited about seeing them do a Latin dance next week.
So Bruno is being Bruno.
Bruno being Bruno, yes, absolutely. They were great, though. It was fantastic.
All right, your general thoughts about the game yesterday, as we are also on Facebook Live for the first time, so people are chiming in with their thoughts.
Nice. I go Tigers, by the way, tonight. That's as far as I'll go with Detroit, so I'll tip back out of that. And that's it. That first quarter was painful. It just really was. It's so difficult to sit and watch this. It just takes so long to generate something out of this. And I'm not a hardcore fan by any means of any of this, but for the people that are invested in this and are buying the tickets and wearing the jerseys, this thing is just, I don't know. And if this keeps going, they're going to see better teams than Detroit real soon, as in next. And 39 points, 37 essentially, but 39 points to the Lions doesn't bode well going forward for that defense. So I don't know. Yeah, it's only week one, and we're not going to hit the panic button yet by any means. But if this thing doesn't turn around really soon, this is going to be a difficult conversation for us to have come November and December.
Who was it last week that said, somebody said if the Colts offense scores 25 points, that should be enough? Was it?
And 30, listen, 5, if Luck puts up, you guys have probably talked about this already this evening, most teams would be thrilled to have the kind of offensive numbers the Colts had yesterday. Right. There aren't a lot of teams in the entire league in week one that put up the numbers that the Colts did. The ones that did, won.
Yeah.
So that's something that...
At this point, the Colts are going to have to score 25 points a quarter to have any shot at winning.
Right, yeah. You got to quit spotting the other team 2 touchdowns. It's just not...
Slight bit of hyperbole there. Let's see here. Dale Couvert chimes in. Coach, again, the time, the clock, and all that.
Can I call a straight timeout now just because, for no real apparent reason?
Well, we've got 3 left.
Burn them all. Come on. Wow.
Why didn't they challenge the first down that wasn't for the Lions? Susan chimes in. That's a good question. That was a peculiar spot.
They were making bad challenges earlier, so one at a time.
Yeah, that may have for fear that may have cost them another timeout and whatnot. Jacksonville going to take the South if we start too slow. I don't know. I'm not sold on Jacksonville yet. But, I mean, here's the thing. Everybody else in the South's getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if the Colts defense can't stop anybody, then everybody in the division literally has a chance. Tennessee, they have some go-to guys. They have a young quarterback in Mariota, 2 nice running back tandem led by DeMarco Murray. Jacksonville, they've got wide receivers who can get it done. Bortles is improving. And the Texans, they have guys who can make plays as well. And so their offenses are somewhat decent.
Right.
And they have really good defenses. Each of those teams have defenses that are far and away better than the Indianapolis Colts. And so it will be no cakewalk in the South.
Here's the thing about Bortles in Jacksonville. If Bortles can make the jump that he did his freshman year, his rookie year to the second year, to the second year to the third year, look out.
Yeah. Because he has playmakers out there. He has playmakers on the offensive side. So we're at a point now where we can't just say, oh, no, Colts they can just show up and win the AFC South. You know, you can't say that anymore.
Lousy tackling, writes Donald Hooper. Some guy named Dave Marin. I don't know. Are employees allowed to chime in on Facebook?
I'm not sure that's allowed. That seems wrong.
Let's see here. But it's good to know that some of our own are watching the show. I appreciate that, Dave Marin. Look, Jason Fechter just joined us, everybody.
Hey.
Jason Fechter. We've got 2 fans watching tonight. And then Brian Mallory just wrote in. Did get to see the great potential on offense. Too bad it started too late. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's clear Luck is back to being Luck.
Yes. But this is something to really keep an eye on heading into this week, heading into next week's game. For anybody who watched the Denver Broncos take on the Carolina Panthers on that Thursday night, week 1, you saw Cam Newton get absolutely beat up. I mean, beat up. And so now you're going
to the point where some of those hits were illegal.
Yes, and the
should have been
officials
checked
weren't
for
calling
a concussion. But anyway,
yes.
to your point, go ahead.
And so now this offensive line, actually, when they got into a groove, looked decent against the Detroit Lions yesterday. Now they're going to have the task of trying to hold off DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller, and that defense. And we all know what happened the last time the Colts took on the Denver Broncos, right? Just ruptured spleen, lacerated kidney. So look, you better be on your game.
Our boy Mike Wells, I love Mike. He asked Luck if any of the guys that hit him and caused the injury last year wrote to him or reached out to say anything.
Yes, that's really.
I think he was kidding. But it was a good question because I'm like, did they? Luck's like, no. It wasn't malicious or anything. Didn't really mean to do that.
That's a hard-hitting group, so I'll have to work it out.
But yeah, so the offensive line, we didn't talk about that. They, at least when it came to protection, did a nice job.
Yes, and that's key for Andrew Luck, Brad, is just the fact that if the offensive line can keep him clean, then he's able to get into a rhythm. He's not seeing ghosts out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's go back to what you guys were saying about the division. Nobody's going 6-0 in the South this year. No. It's too close at this point. That's a pipe dream, and the fact that the Colts did that as many years as they did is impressive. But I don't see any of those four teams being able to run the table. And I think it's ultimately going to come down to those last one or two games, just the way the division's scheduled. We get to week 15, 16, 17. I think those games are still going to matter, not just for the division title, but somebody in there might be in a wild card race at some point as well.
By the way, it's halftime of the first NFL Monday Night Football game. Do we have a score, Brady?
Ooh, update.
14-6 Steelers right now. 14-6 Steelers.
I was Brady possibly paying attention if the Steelers game.
Well, I thought you had an eye for the Steelers as well, right?
I know people who are Steelers fans.
People who are Steelers fans.
And Pittsburgh puts on perhaps one of the 2 or 3 best pregames anywhere in the NFL out there. That city is nuts.
Really?
It's just bananas. I've had a couple of very good, enjoyable evenings at Heinz Field, of which I remember most of at the end.
Did any of it involve, what's the sandwich company?
Primanti's. Can I tell you, there's a Primanti Brothers in Fishers now, which is amazing, at Hamilton Town Center. They are opening one downtown 2 blocks from my apartment in a month. I'm going to weigh 150 pounds more than I do.
Thanksgiving night, apparently.
Yes.
Thanksgiving night, Steelers Colts. That's right, yeah.
Absolutely. They're supposed to be opening next month, and I have a new favorite go-to without it even being open yet.
Here's the thing with this 8 o'clock show, and Michael and Brad, you guys are going to be here because I'm going to be traveling next Monday night. But we should have like a food sponsor with this 8 o'clock show. It's like kind of like a dinner time thing. Maybe Primanti Brothers is the way to go.
Oh, goodness.
Should we reach out to them?
Fill my heart. I'll make the phone calls if need be. You are speaking my language. Fries on the sandwich, Dave. Fries are on the sandwich.
No, yeah, I get that. And who doesn't love that? Although if you're going low carb, it's probably not the way to go.
Yes.
But imagine nothing but Primanti sandwiches sitting here on the coffee table.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Now there will be some Indianapolis sponsors that'll want to step up because Primanti's is a very Pittsburgh thing, and come a certain point of the season, we need one of the local sandwich joints to step up and be some Indianapolis.
I have no problem with that. How about Sun King beer?
Yes, that's most Indianapolis. Very nice.
More Indianapolis than Sun King Brewery.
I like that. I mean, you could insert blank brewery here about 10 different times and have Indianapolis written all over it. We could find folks at Too Deep would do just as well.
Too Deep, yeah. We love Too Deep. Our friends at Too Deep.
We could keep going
out there. Toe Yard Brewery.
Fountain Square Brewing.
Toe Yard, Fountain Square.
Toe Yard. Yeah, I'm 2 yards from Toe Yard. I can pick some of that up on the way in.
Yeah.
Okay, I like where this is going.
We can just eat and drink our way through the show and see what happens by 8:30.
Maybe we have more games like yesterday. I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Start drinking during the game.
Exactly. You'll only need the beer sponsor.
All right. Hey, thanks for chiming in on your day off, and we're going to reverse roles. I'll do that thing that you're doing next week. Okay. I'll be on
the couch next week commandeering this. So tell the folks on Facebook that are watching, bring it for week 2. We're looking forward to it.
bring it for week 2. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Hey, guys.
All right, a couple more comments here. Most of Lucky Yards came out of the shotgun, and we talked about that a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, the chief meteorologist for RTV6, Kevin Gregory. You have a mic that works or no?
No, I'm just going to use it because I'm going to be here quickly. I want to make a comment. First time watcher.
Right.
First time caller. So then you answer. So whenever the Colts games are really tight, I'm too nervous to watch the end. So I go on a long walk.
Really?
I'm just getting back from the walk. What happened? I'll listen off air.
Thank you for that,
I'll hang up and listen. What do you have coming up tonight at 11 o'clock?
Well, we're going to talk about these the defensive guys. The poor tackling, which is fundamental. I mean, that's just something you're taught at a young age.
Well,
wrap a guy up, bring him down.
Camp's not what it used to be.
No,
though,
it's not what it used to be. No doubt about that. But these guys should know better,
Right.
and they weren't ready right out of the gate. And then when they needed them, when the offense finally got clicking, the defense never found their stride, and they weren't able to make plays at the end of the game. And so they're beating themselves up about it. And so we'll hear from Mike Adams again, DeQuell Jackson, and Antonio Cromartie.
Again, when Mike Adams talks, he could read a menu, and I would just sit there and, yeah, I'll have one of everything. All right, and we'll join you as well. See, we've got, maybe probably show some Steeler highlights. Cubs highlights, maybe, if they win.
There you go. Sneak that in.
Cubs fan. We have a late, so many yards after. Yes, the yak. Yes. We were talking about that earlier. They had like over 200 yards after catch in that game yesterday. Got to wrap up. But again, they had 3 guys that were literally on the street a week ago.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, that certainly plays a factor. They're not going to make any excuses for their performance, and they got to clean it up because, look, Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Trevor Simeon's not that bad. He looked pretty good in that win over the Carolina Panthers on Thursday. So
Ryan Kelly's
going to have to
the rookie. Take the rookie stripes
welcome
off
to
after
the
that
NFL,
one.
right? Go from, right.
All right, for Michael Grady, Kevin Gregory and his cameo, Brad Brown as well. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's right. Week 1 of Horseplay. We're back next Monday, again, 8 o'clock, the RTV6 app, theindychannel.com, and most importantly, Facebook Live as well. Keep the great comments coming. We'll see you Monday, if not before, tonight on the News at 11.